Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. for tuning in to Exeter.
Good evening. Good evening, Exeter. Good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, those in attendance this evening, and certainly those watching at home. This is the June 1st, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting, and as the hour is 6:57, I'm calling the meeting to order. The meeting was posted for 6:50 p.m. The first 10 minutes, we were supposed to have an interview for a vacancy on a board. However, we have to reschedule that at the interviewee's request, so I'm going to call the meeting to order, do our introductions, and we'll start our regular business meeting promptly at 7 o'clock. So without any further, I'll start by introducing the board. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Hey, everyone.
To my left, our Clerk, Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And back here, we have our Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. And I'm Nico Papakostandis. It is with great pleasure and privilege that
We want to do Paul and also.
I'm
Sorry,
just about
I'm
ready
so
to...
sorry. He's looking.
I wasn't talking fast enough.
No, sorry, go on.
I'm going to start
As you
over.
were.
It's with great pleasure and privilege that the Select Board introduces to the town of Exeter our new town manager, Mr. Paul Cohen. Welcome and good evening.
Good evening. It's great to be here.
Thanks for having me. And sitting next to Paul is our Assistant Town Manager, Melissa Roy, who we all know filled in as the interim town manager for almost a year. This may look a little bit different, but that's one of the first things that Paul and Melissa approached me with, is they wanted to sit with each other, and I think it's going to work out well. So, again, welcome. Paul told us that he's been very excited to start. He started on a short week. He started on a non-select board meeting week. But he kept telling us how he wanted to work, and tonight we're going to work. It's a pretty full agenda. So with that, I'd like to start our regular business meeting. But again, Mr. Cohen, welcome, and we look forward to working with you. First order of business this evening is bid opening. I'm sorry, it's public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to come up to make comment to the Select Board. If your comments are relative to an agenda item, though, we do ask that you wait for that agenda item to come up. And with that, I'll pause for public comment. Please step up.
Mark Furlong from 24th Street. Just wondering if we're any closer to having a meeting on the Park Street Bridge.
We are tentatively looking at June 15th, and we're waiting for confirmation from CSX.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we will jump to the bid opening. This is for the front Linden Pine Street roundabout. I believe we have 3 bids this evening, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
This is not a bid,
Okay,
so we have 2 bids.
it's okay.
And then there were 2. Okay, the first bid is from William P. Davis Excavation, LLC. I believe they're out of Bedford, New Hampshire. The base bid total is $946,695.
You said Bedford, it's not Hampton, Bedford. Okay, got it.
Okay. The additive bid alternate number 1 is for $53,625. Additive bid alternate 2 is for $45,900. And the additive bid alternate 3 is for $32,400.
Thank you.
The second bid is from Belageron Construction Services in Claremont, New Hampshire. The base bid total is $715,771,050. I'll do
sorry,
that.
can you repeat?
Yep, 715,771.50 cents.
Thank you.
And the additive bid alternate number 1 is for $49,518.75. That's 4951875.
Thank you.
Additive bid alternate 2 is for $43,740. And the additive bid alternate 3 is for $23,220.
What's that?
And with that, I would entertain a motion to refer the 2 bids to the Public Works Director to make a recommendation to the Select Board.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes. We have the May 14th, 2026 special meeting and the May 18th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. Are there any revisions or amendments to either of the minutes?
I found none.
I did, I need the help of the neighborhood. Susan's last name, who lives on Cass Street?
Heal, H-E-A-L.
H-E-A-L. So that's, we have 2 E's instead of E-A-L. So I would ask that we amend that.
Are there any other revisions to either of the minutes?
No, and I checked and I was here for both of them, so I will vote on both.
Terrific. Okay, if there are no other revisions or amendments, I would entertain a motion to approve the May 14th, 2026 Select Board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I would entertain a motion to approve the May 18th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. And we have 2 resignations this evening, the first of which is from the Exeter Housing Authority. Vernon Sherman has submitted a resignation. I would entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we have a resignation from CPCNH from Nicholas Devonshire. And I would entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And Mr. Chair, we also received a resignation from David Kovar from the Communications Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Do we want to accept that, or do you want to wait till the next meeting?
If you could forward that to Pam so we could get that into the packet.
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you.
You bet.
Any others moving forward?
Can I have one question?
Please, yes.
And it can wait.
No,
but-
no.
So we had 2 applications, I believe, for the Exeter Housing Authority.
We did.
So should we reach out to the other applicant and let them know that
That's a
there's
great
a
idea.
vacancy?
Yep.
I think it was Megan Spencer.
That is
Yes,
correct.
sorry.
Thank you.
Happy to
Okay.
You'll get used to that.
We will all get used to it. We're good.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
Really good idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we can jump right into our discussion and action items, the first of which is the second reading of the public hearing for Cass Street. Town of Exeter, New Hampshire, notice of public hearing pursuant to RSA 31:95B3A. Notice is hereby given that the Select Board of the Town of Exeter will hold a public hearing consisting of 3 readings in the Novak Room, 10 Front Street, Exeter, for the purpose of complying with the provisions of RSA 31:95B3A for a proposed change to parking regulations on Cass Street. The first reading will be Monday, May 18th, 2026. The second reading will be Monday, June 1st, 2026, and the third reading will be Monday, June 15th, 2026. Each meeting will begin at 7 p.m., dated May 8th, 2026. At this time, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is open. Mr. Cronin, did you want to come up for a few initial comments?
Sure, as you know, we were approached about a change to the ordinance that would change the current parking situation on Cass Street to be no parking on either side from Park Street to roughly, I believe it was 170 feet or so beyond the intersection. So our feeling is that it's a change that's not necessarily needed. We recognize the safety concerns. However, this is a condition that exists all over town, and there isn't a crash history to either support or warrant such a change. So at this time, we're not in favor of it, but certainly would like to hear from the residents and address whatever concerns they may have. I will note that we do have a CIP project planned for this neighborhood and some of the abutting streets as well in the CIP that would be a complete reconstruction of all the utilities and look at pedestrian and roadway improvements in that area.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the board for Mr. Cronin before we open up to the public?
Will we get another chance
Yes.
to question him next week? Then I'll hold up.
Selectwoman Gilman.
So if it's 170 feet, that would be roughly 8 cars, 8 long spaces?
I would say that's probably a good estimate, yes.
20 feet of car.
Thank you. At this point, we'd like to open it up to the public. You can step forward to the podium, give, if you would please, your name and address. For folks that were here in the first meeting, your testimony is included in the minutes and any submissions, but we'll open it up to the public.
Yes, I'm Richard Page. I live at 18 Cass Street. I wonder, would it be possible for us to hear from the petitioner first on this?
If she gave her testimony at the first hearing,
Okay.
if she has anything to add to that, then certainly
Okay.
we could invite her up, but that will be up to her.
Okay.
Thank you.
No,
Would you like to speak?
I would, but
Could you step up to the microphone?
I'd like to relax for a moment first.
Okay. We respect that.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Richards. I'm a resident of Exeter at 25 Cass Street. I'm again speaking on behalf of myself and my neighbors, and we'd like to follow up on our concerns of the petitioner's continued obstruction of the roadway in front of 20 Cass Street. We prepared copies of an exhibit folder that we have submitted as evidence tonight. Exhibit A includes a copy of the footprint of the property at 20 Cass Street taken from the Exeter DPW maps online. It also includes the warranty deeds for the property dating back to 1972. Please note that the legal descriptions for this property have not changed and in fact remain identical since that time. Included in Exhibit B are 2 survey plats commissioned by the petitioner in 2015 and 2018, respectively. As the most recent survey plat governs, please reference the document labeled D41596, executed by James Vera and Associates for the following points. It would be the survey plat on the top.
B, not D.
Yeah, she's on.
D41596 is the survey plat we're looking at. On this survey plat, we ask that you note the 2 property markers along the southwest perimeter of 20 Cass Street that abut the public roadway. The first property marker is on the iron bar found adjacent to the Page property at 18 Cass Street. It is highlighted in red. The second property marker is the iron rod with cap found adjacent to the Tezawa property at 22 Cass Street, also indicated in red. It's important to note that the line marked EOP, edge of pavement, clearly and directly connects these two property markers along the southwest perimeter. This is the front boundary of the petitioner's property at 20 Cass Street, as legally recorded. This 2018 survey plat also documents a telephone pole in front of the Tezawa property at 22 Cass Street, and the edge of pavement, EOP, that curves around it to the sloped face asphalt curve, SAC, at the intersection of Cass and Park Street. It is from this point that the petitioner has specifically attempted to increase their property footprint by building out onto the public roadway. And as you can see, there's a telephone pole, and the front property of the Tezawa, front property boundary of the Tezawa property curves around that telephone pole and angles back to the property line of the petitioner. In Exhibit C, you will find photos of the dirt, bricks, granite pavers, crushed stone, and plants that have been used to extend the petitioner's front property. This undertaking is in violation of the property boundary established by the aforementioned iron bar and iron rod with cap along its southwest perimeter. It is worth noting that a discrepancy exists between the legal description of the warranty deed for this property and said survey plat of 2018. Specifically, the deed states that the course of the property runs 174.6 feet along its southeast border. This is the border that's shared with the Tezawa property, while the survey plat indicates the length of 178.68 feet. While we acknowledge this discrepancy, it does not contradict the established and legal property boundary that abuts Cass Street along the southwest boundary, and therefore is of no consequence to this petition. In summary, we reiterate our position from the town meeting of May 18th that there is no credible evidence of safety concerns regarding the intersection of Cass and Park Street, nor the on-street parking as the petitioner purports. Further, we vigorously object to the petitioner's deliberate obstruction of the public roadway on Cass Street, and respectfully request that the obstructions, including soil, plants, bricks, pavers, and crushed blue stone, be immediately removed. The public roadway should be maintained as a free and unobstructed space for pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists to use safely. It cannot and should not be unlawfully taken as personal domain by any resident. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for your time. For the record, please recognize the residents of the Cass and Park Street neighborhood who have signed this statement and are in attendance this evening. Robert Richards, 25 Cass Street. Richard Page, 18 Cass Street. Marnia Page, 18 Cass Street. Kevin Fleming, 11 Cass Street. Susan Scannell, 11 Cass Street. Jackie Roquel, 31 Park Street. Patricia Henderson, 10 Cass Street. Ron Wybranowski, 5 Cass Street. And Natalie Wybranowski, 5 Cass Street. Susan Heel at 14 Cass Street as well.
Thank you very much. Other members of the public, please. Do you still wish to speak, ma'am, before we close it?
But Mr. Page wanted to speak, so I'm writing notes down in response to Ms. Richards.
Thank you. I think he already spoke. He indicated he was interested to what you had to say.
Right, and
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would like to respond coherently
So,
to Ms.
yep,
Richards.
understood.
I'm writing down some notes, so if he would like to speak, that would be wonderful. If he would.
Well, only if he'd like to.
Yeah, he's,
So I need to, because we have a very full agenda this evening, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to speak.
like to speak.
I understand that, but if nobody else wants to speak, ma'am, then if you want to speak, I'm going to have to invite you up to the microphone, because we'll have to close the public hearing part.
Okay, all righty, let me just,
So I'll give you a minute.
okay, thanks. All right. Abigail Mathis, 20 Cass Street. I recently submitted 3 documents, one on safety, one on encroachment, and also one on the statistics of why the traffic has substantially increased through Cass Street. Perhaps I should start in response to, well, I would like to start with safety, if that would work. And I did want to ask if I might use the projector so that people could see what I'm talking about.
What would you looking for the map? What would you like up there?
I have an image here that I wanted to put up. If it's not possible,
I don't
we'll
have any way.
survive.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have any way of putting it
All right.
on.
Can I make a suggestion, though, while you get your papers in order? There will be a third public hearing, so if there is something that you would like us to be able to put up on the screen at the next meeting, if you could submit it to the town manager's office, we can make arrangements for that.
I would like this passed along so people could see side by side the exact James Vera when he surveyed it for me, and also what exists today. Sure. If that would work. And I also have another copy if that would work. If that would help. Actually, I have this as well. Okay, we can pass that along. I think that's James or it's Tom Burlett's, I'm not sure. Okay. Now, I summed up most of what I felt about safety issue. And I'm asking, again, the select board to take action by reinstalling and enforcing a no parking zone on the northwest corner of Cass, 79 feet. I'm not sure where the number 170 comes from. 79 feet. It's exactly where Jay Perkins had staked it before. It's 30 feet where the ordinance is, plus 49 feet additional. Extending 70, so at the northwest corner of Cass Street, extending 79 feet along the western edge of Park Street, exactly as installed by the Highway Superintendent Jay Perkins in accordance with 101.1-J. This extended to the edge of the south side of 20 Cass Street on the edge of the house structure. This is a no parking zone for safety. In the last hearing, someone mentioned that Abby would have her own personal parking. No parking means no parking for anyone in my family or anyone. I'd like to address the ordinance 101.1. It states that parking is prohibited in specific places. Within this ordinance is a sub-ordinance. It's 101.1-J, which is kind of a gray area ordinance. It states, however, that parking is prohibited at any place where official signs prohibit parking or stopping. J. Perkins of the Highway Department established a place where this official sign prohibited parking or stopping. He followed the rules. He followed the ordinance. A man of his tenure with the Exeter Highway Department does not arbitrarily put up signs. He follows procedure and protocol in putting up official signs. Cass Street sits within one of Exeter's oldest neighborhoods. This Cass Street Road is a main road for young children going to school. It is full of baby boomers as well. Baby boomers were born from 1947 to 64. 38 to 40% of the residents in our block group, Cass Street, are baby boomers. Exeter's average baby boomer percent is 39%. The state average of baby boomers is 21%. We are much higher than the state average. Among these residents on Cass and about over 65 years old, 23 to 37% live with mobility-related disabilities. Safety is paramount. We have an overlap of the youngest traveling to school and the oldest residents, increasing our vulnerable population and the need for safety measures. So I urge the board to act promptly to protect both our children and older residents. Immediate, inexpensive, and unobtrusive reinstatement of a sign adding 49 feet beyond the 30-foot ordinance and adding a solid yellow line at the turn of Park Street, turning left onto Cass, and it could be a life-saving measure for any of those in our vulnerable or not population. And again, Ordinance 101.1-J states parking is prohibited in specific places. Parking is prohibited at any place where official signs prohibit parking or stopping. That is exactly what Jay Perkins put up, and he did have the authority and the training after 45 years to put that sign up. An official sign matching this ordinance was authorized by Jay. So if this ordinance appears to be a gray area, I'd like to stress that safety is not. And if anyone would like to have a copy of this ordinance, I can.
We have it in.
It's in our packet.
You do have it in your packet?
We're all set.
We're very familiar with it.
All right. Now, I'm not going to go through statistics because they're lengthy, and I think everyone has them.
Yes.
So there's no reason to do that again. But I do have a locus that Jim Barra gave me of the property of that turning point and how vulnerable it is and where that 27-foot blind corner is. So would you like me just to jump into the encroachment and wrap it up?
Please.
Okay. I already said good morning or evening. I'm here to brief you on the encroachment issue. In 2017, the Exeter Highway Department tarred over a substantial portion of my lawn. Yet the same Exeter Highway Department is now challenging me as well as some members here, for reinstating that same area as lawn. When they did tar over a good portion of my lawn, they did this when our daughter was finishing high school and beginning her college years in Park City, Utah. We, her parents, were with her. The town did not seek our permission, and it has had our telephone number on record. Last year, I reinstated the lawn modestly. And you have pictures of the finished lawn. The in-between work is like looking at a construction site in mid-work in process. So it's really not relevant.
Bless you.
Isn't tight. Last year, I reinstated the lawn modestly. It does not extend beyond where the lawn existed in the 1970s or 80s, which is the only photographic record I have. It does not go past the telephone pole next to my house, as you can see, or the image on the survey by Jim Vera. It does not go past my neighbor's lawn on 22 Cass Street. It does not obstruct the road. It doesn't go past the telephone pole. It is simply a reasonable restoration of what had been a lawn for decades before the highway department itself paved a portion of my lawn without my consent. Multiple neighbors maintain fences, walls, shrubs, structures inches from the road. These same neighbors are up here petitioning, some of them, against me. I have presented a packet which shows their structural encroachments, not lawn, but structural, fences, bushes, barriers to vision. I have not said a word. And if the town of Exeter is indeed pointing their finger at me, that is called selective enforcement. I did ask, and I sent an email to both Steve Cronin and Jay Perkins and the town clerk for the original highway plans as they were drawn up. I received absolutely no response from the highway department. But I did receive a very considerate response from the town clerk, which directed me, and she directed me to a GIF, a CAD program, which doesn't show that kind of historical data. I wanted to know if the town of Exeter has a highway easement or if they have ownership. I don't want secondhand information such as words, but verifiable documentation. I'm stating for the record that I would like to see the town's enforcement of potential encroachment in the neighborhood, be it Cass or anywhere in Exeter, to be uniform and non-selective. And I don't see that happening right now. Not with the town of Exeter. So I do have some signatures here. I will pass this along. Some of the signatures are people that have signed both sides of the on the petition that sit over here. And so I am going to present all of this to you. And just a face copy of the statistics because we've already gone over that if people look at the packets in depth. And I think that's it, pretty much. But I do take umbrage with the statement of Abigail violating and I was trying to get Miss Richards' actual words when I was writing my notes down, violating the property line when everyone along Cass Street, and I'm going to punctuate this, everyone along Cass Street has violated the structural encroachment the rules against encroaching structurally with plants and fences. I do, if this progresses, I might suggest that at the corner of Cass Street, that clearance be had along the corner of Park Street and Cass Street on the left side going up, so one can take a safe left turn. Perhaps that might be the objective, but the least expensive, and I'm finalizing this right now, the least expensive, the most reasonable, safest alternative right now is to put up a sign that slows people down and says no parking on this side of the road, because when people come up around that corner from Park Street, they bow out along the western edge of Cass, and I live there, so I see it. No one else lives in my house. I live there, and I see these cars bow out and hightail it down the road. So it's a very dangerous situation, and I don't see a minimal effort of putting up a sign and a line on the turning point of Park Street and Cass to be that offensive. I just don't get it.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your remarks this evening. We'd like to take your documents and include them. And I think we've taken some notes as to some of the material that you've requested. And I appreciate your comments this evening.
All right, would you, I'm going to put these together and then I'll just give them to you in a moment. Okay.
Fair enough. Is there any other public comment this evening? Please.
Good evening. Marnie Cushing Page, 18 Cass Street. I was just looking for some clarification on what Abby has said. Are the plans that Abby has submitted to you, she said they were by Tom Roulette and by James Vera. Are those the same plans that Kelly has submitted that would be in Kelly's package?
They didn't look to be the same by my eye.
Okay. And whether those plans have been recorded in the Registry of Deeds or not and been made public record. Also, I had a question. Abby somehow mentioned about what was the distance in question. I believe reading the original petition that she had requested 170 feet from the corner. So just wanted to clarify that. And also, I've lived in 18 Cass Street since 1999, and in 2017, as Abby said, the Highway Department paved a portion of her lawn without consent. I have no recollection of the Highway Department ever coming and paving anything in front of her house. And if they did, I'd like to see the record from you folks. And that's it. I have no further questions.
Thank you. That's reasonable. Any other public comment before we close it and bring it back to the board? Yes, please. I saw you're next. That's okay.
Sally Ward, 72 Park Street. As I indicated last time, I lived on Cass Street for 25 years, and I now live on Park Street, so I'm very familiar with the intersection. There may be a safety issue on Cass Street, but I don't believe no parking would solve that safety issue. And the safety issue I've observed, because I walk that intersection every morning, is that cars speed. And it's mostly cars that are coming from Summer to across Cass, and they're in a big hurry to get to the train or get wherever. And I think that that is an issue, and if that could be addressed somehow in the future, but I don't think a no parking zone would solve that problem.
Thank you. And can I ask the town manager's department to talk to the police about the speed? Great. Do you want to use that one?
We've got one right there.
Little humor there.
Okay, I live at 31 Park Street. I have been there since 1983. So I am also quite familiar with this intersection. And this is also an intersection that's involved in the bridge conversation, so this is a long topic. But if this problem is people taking a wide turn from Park Street onto Cass Street, the better solution would be to put a stop sign on Park Street. That would cause them to stop. They would have to look before they turned. Just putting a no parking sign with it, which they can't even see from the intersection, is not going to solve anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I could respond.
No, I think we're ready to bring it back to the board if everybody's spoken. Okay. No other public comment. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing's closed. We'll bring it back to the board. Are there any questions for Mr. Cronin at this time?
I just have a comment.
Please.
If I may. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The thing that we've now held 2 public hearings on is actually a proposal for both sides of Cass Street for a distance of 170 feet south of Park Street. So that is what is at question here. That is all that's at question in these public hearings. Some other issues have been brought in, and they may or may not be pertinent, but that is what we are addressing with these public hearings, just to be clear to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, I would like Mr. Cronin's opinion on the possibility of a stop sign.
I think we would need to look further at the impacts to other intersections before doing
Yes.
that. I think that's
Thank
the
you.
intent of the CIP project that's planned in a couple of years.
Yeah.
The concern would be that by just placing a stop sign there, you may be moving the problem somewhere else in the neighborhood. And ideally, what we'd like to do is try to solve all of the problems in the neighborhood.
Instead of creating more.
To that
I
magnitude.
completely understand. So if just at some point, yeah.
I'd just like to make a couple other comments. We do not, to our knowledge, have a recorded right-of-way or layout plan for Cass Street. The information that's shown in GIS is comprised of a number of things, tax maps, aerial imagery, survey data that we have at hand when we determine those right-of-ways. Pavement width doesn't always determine what the true right-of-way is. So in this case, the plot plan that was shown and is recorded, you do see the edge of pavement meeting the property line at 20 Cass Street. And so in our determination of whether or not there was an encroachment, that's what we looked at. That's the only evidence we've been provided to date that there are other encroachments, or any encroachments rather, on Cass Street. We would certainly look at others if they were brought to our attention, but from what we were able to find through our research, that's what we're working with at this point in time.
I do have one more.
Please.
I walked the street, Cass Street. To my unpracticed eye, it almost looks like there was kind of a sidewalk that, and this is very typical in Exeter, it'll start on one side of the street and then it'll jump to the other side to provide continuity in some way, shape, or form. To me, that stretch of Cass Street looks like it may have been a sidewalk. This is my unpracticed eye, so I'm just surmising. May have been a sidewalk that eventually the curbing was so at grade with the roadway that it was just paved over, and it looks like it's all kind of roadway. Is there a way to determine whether the intent back in the day was to have a sidewalk there?
We haven't been able to find any evidence of that. We've
Okay.
looked for recorded easements. Again, there's nothing concrete in our records that show where the right-of-way ends, where the sidewalk begins, where certain property lines begin and end. So, looking down the road, if we were to try to redesign or fix issues that we have on a street like that, we would do a complete survey of the entire road and deed research to try to determine where the exact right-of-way is before proceeding with the project. And then working from those constraints, we would try to lay out a sidewalk within the right-of-way or get the appropriate easements or acquire property in order to make sure that everything that we're doing is on the town's property. I can't say if we have encroached or not, or what the original intent of the sidewalk was when it was built.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No?
Not at this time.
Thank you. The third reading will be on June 15th. We'll look forward to seeing the neighborhood back. We're going to move along to our second public hearing, and this is the second reading of the Wadleigh Street request, Town of Exeter, New Hampshire, notice of public hearing pursuant to RSA 31:95B3A. Notice is hereby given that the Select Board of the Town of Exeter will hold a public hearing consisting of 3 readings in the Novak Room, 10 Front Street, Exeter, for the purpose of complying with the provisions of RSA 31:95B3A for a proposed change to traffic control signage on Wadleigh Street at Forest Street. The first reading will be Monday, May 18, 2026. The second reading will be Monday, June 1st, 2026. And the third reading will be Monday, June 15th, 2026. Each reading will begin at 7 p.m. That was dated May 8th of 2026. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is open. Before we hear from the public, Mr. Cronin, do you just want to give a quick summary?
So again, this was another request that was brought to us by residents from the neighborhood, primarily as a result of construction and increased truck traffic on Wadleigh Street as a result of the Rose Farm subdivision construction. We had both public safety and public works look at it. We agree with their request. We feel that it would increase safety, slow down speeds in the neighborhood. Feel like it's a reasonable traffic calming technique for this particular intersection and would support it.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Cronin before we open it to the public?
No.
Seeing none, we'd invite the public to come up. Hi.
Hey.
Good evening, I'm Jen Legere. I live on 6 Forest Street. I actually made one of the initial phone calls that resulted in the second stop sign that we now have when I was almost hit by a car head-on who was flying across Wadleigh coming down Forest. I live right on the corner. It is a very dangerous intersection. We spent a lot of time talking about our concerns before the Rose Farm was even built. It unfortunately was built and has moved forward and has continued to increase our safety concerns for the entire neighborhood. So please, add a stop sign. Those 2 driveways that are kind of in that crazy little intersection, I fear for those children's lives every single day. If you are in that corner, it is not safe at all. So the more stop signs, the better. Not that it will actually slow anyone down. Probably not, because they don't always care. I was the one who instituted all the slow children signs, playing in the neighborhood, Power of Amazon, 6 signs for $20, but it hasn't done the job that it needs to. Will a third stop sign? Maybe, but if people don't care, they don't care. So can you make people care more? That'd be great. If not, third stop sign will do something. So please help keep us safe. We would appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yes, please. Excuse me.
Pete Nikitas, 5 Wadleigh. I was always wondering who did those. Slow them down. I've moved them after the snow and everything. I'm like, good, like, slow everyone down. And I live on that shared driveway, which is terrifying to come in and out of because cars are just flying in, turning left, turning right, you never know. I spoke at the last hearing, so I think I won't berate things further, but it just continues to be an issue, especially with the construction going on for likely a couple more years. There's new subcontractors coming in that don't even know the neighborhood. They're all the different types of builders coming in, whether it's the framers or the roofers or whatever it is. I do think that is a big part of it, and I do know also like there are new residents, whether it is just in Rose Farm or also all around Exeter. It's a very hot market right now, so there are a lot of new neighbors coming in that don't know the area as well, so they just think that's what you're supposed to do is apparently drift through onto Forest Street or just fly in and out of Wadleigh. It is scary personally coming in and out of my own driveway, which is the 4th road of that intersection. If we could, I don't know how we can fix that. I don't think we can, but it is still just super dangerous. I think the stop sign, like we've all said, would have a pretty solid impact. For some reason, there must be like a twilight zone in this area because people just still go through stop signs. I don't understand it. Where I grew up, people had to stop, not rolling stop. You just stop and go. So I think if we got that stop sign, it sounds like the town is pretty on board with doing that, which is great. And then I think also there should be a plan of enforcement. I think at first maybe it'll be good, and then maybe a tapering of it throughout the first couple months or something like that. I think that would be beneficial. I did have a question of like what would possibly prevent a stop sign from being installed, but it sounds like we're moving toward that. I don't know if that's something I can even ask in this situation, but it sounds like we're pretty
Could I answer that?
aligned.
You're free to speak.
The only thing that's delaying it is the requirement of 3 public hearings.
2/3 there. Love it. I'll see you guys on June 15th.
However, procedurally, we do have to vote.
We do.
Right.
But that is
That's the fact.
we're working our way through the process.
There are a few other things in between, but
It's the first thing I've been involved with a select board hearing, so hopefully I'm batting.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world.
It sounds like a little easier than some of the other processes that are being voted on.
Pardon my parenthetical comments, Mr. Chair.
No, that's good to know, and I'm glad to hear that we're trending in that direction. Again, if anyone does have more questions or wants to learn more about that particular intersection, come to 5 Wadleigh Street, sit in our driveway or our living room, and you can watch the chaos ensue. But appreciate everybody's time and looking.
no, and you bring up a really good point, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, and I appreciate the invite to your living room, but when we get, but it's important for folks at home to know we do independent of each other. We can't. If there's 3 or more of us, we have to post a meeting. So, but I know that with this group, the 5 of us do our homework. I can speak for myself that for both of these neighborhoods, I've walked the neighborhoods. So to get familiar with what you're all talking about it's easy to look at pictures, and the time and care that everybody's put together with packets is really informative, but to actually go out and walk the neighborhoods is very important. And I think it's safe to say that we do that, so.
That's great to hear. Appreciate that.
I didn't walk. I've driven, but I haven't walked yet.
They're both super dangerous.
We can always, if you ever see one of us sitting in a lawn chair in your front yard, we're taking you up on your offer.
So, the stop sign.
No, it's important.
I'll take the invite to the living room.
So
Come on through,
I try to come through at different times of the day whenever I'm back in town. So,
Am I allowed to make a true confession?
You may.
I didn't walk Wadleigh, I drove it.
Yep.
And I took a right onto Wadleigh off of Forest.
Yep.
And I was exiting the neighborhood. And I looked down Summer/Salem, it kind of changes there. And I thought I was clear, and I was almost T-boned at that point, at that intersection. And I was in the wrong. I didn't see the car, but the car was going fairly fast.
Yep.
So we avoided a collision. But yeah, there's fast-moving cars in that neighborhood, and it is not a neighborhood that is conducive to fast-moving cars. So I got a very poignant demonstration of what you all are talking about.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing I will add, clearly I've had caffeine at the end of the day here, is also the stop sign leaving the Rose Farm development. If we could move that like 10 feet forward or something, just due to the trees and cars parked right there, so you can't even, those cars leaving, even if they do stop at that stop sign, I don't think they can even see what's coming from Forest Street.
Yeah, that was noted in the first public hearing
Yeah.
as something we intend to do with the placement of the third sign, so.
Thank you.
Cool. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Of course. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wasn't quite fast enough.
That's okay.
Mark Furlong from 24th Street. I'm glad to hear all the discussion about you going out and looking at an issue before you vote on it. This neighborhood is very much a walking neighborhood. The interior part, Wadleigh, Forest Street, Walnut Street, there are no sidewalks. Salem and Oak Street does have sidewalks, but the cars move very fast, definitely. So if you have any inclination not to approve it, I would definitely recommend not just driving, but walking. Park on Walnut or further down on Forest by my house and walk around the neighborhood. You'll see people walking, jogging, biking, walking dogs, and this will help with that safety as well.
Great, thank you.
So I would like to ask Mr. Cronin one question. And it's not because we're talking about stop signs here, but in the future, do we have a plan for sidewalks in that neighborhood? You don't need to answer that tonight. It's something that,
I can answer.
Oh, good.
We do not right now. No.
Okay.
There's nothing in the CIP or a plan at this point.
yeah, it's come up
But
both
it is-
hearings, so.
I agree. It is a highly traveled and watched neighborhood, for sure.
Okay, so the seed's been planted, so to speak, to look at what we might be able to do in the future?
Duly noted.
Okay.
I
Thank
have
you.
a question to
Please.
follow up on that.
Yeah.
If I recall, the town planner was looking into, or has a line of sidewalks to either improve or add. And I wonder if he's looked at that area.
I don't know, but I'll follow up with him and ask.
Got one more.
Sorry, Jen Legere again, 6 Forest Street. So while we were in public hearing for the Rose Farm, that was a very vocal request the entire community made, was having our sidewalks built out. And it was our expectation as part of the Rose Farm development that those improvements would have been made, because it did create a very large safety issue for our neighborhood, and it is a walking neighborhood. I would ask when you come to look at our neighborhood, if you're walking or driving or whatever, time of day is really important. Middle of the day is fairly quiet. But if you're coming at the beginning of the day when contractors are arriving, especially if they're late to work, it's very dangerous at that point. Lunch break is also a busy time, and obviously the end of the day. So time of day is significant when you're walking that neighborhood or checking out what's happening. It was a very quiet neighborhood. I really enjoyed this little tiny backwater, and it has changed significantly with the addition of this development, and protecting the safety of our citizens is really important. So please, the stop sign. I know it's coming, but we can't do enough.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Anybody else? You see anybody else?
I don't.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Are there any questions of the board for staff?
I have an idea.
Please.
Could we, Mr. Town Manager, could we have our code enforcement officer perhaps liaise with the construction teams working in the Rose Farm, and maybe jawbone them to take it down a notch when they're leaving the neighborhood? Just an idea. I don't know if that's...
I think Have we've been in contact, correct?
Many times.
Yes. Okay.
We can remind as often as we need to.
If we could continue to do that?
Yeah.
Maybe the full power of Doug Eastman can get it done.
Yeah, so Doug has spoken with them, Kristen has spoken with them, I think Jay has spoken with them, and Steve Cronin. Because the road is, the houses are still being built, it's not a public road, and so we can speak to them and ask them to talk with their contractors, and we have multiple times, and we will continue to do so, but it is seemingly not making as much difference as we would hope it would.
Wadleigh is a public road, however.
Once they leave.
So.
I know that police have increased enforcement based on comments from the neighborhood. I think Dan brought up a very good idea at the first public hearing about temporary speed tables during construction. You know, it's not something that we would likely support as a permanent traffic calming feature out there, but given the increase in truck traffic for the extended period of time, it may be something that we want to consider moving forward on other subdivisions that were built to this magnitude. So.
Could it be done for this particular, or is it too late?
We can certainly look at it. I think we would want, obviously, the board's support in doing that before we went out and put them out there. This one may be a little bit difficult because it is sort of a three-way intersection, but it's something that we'll explore, and we can bring that recommendation back to you at the next hearing.
So maybe the board can consider taking that up at the third hearing and making a recommendation of support to Public Works to do that, I think would be reasonable.
And just know the cost.
Yep.
You know, how we'll fund it, type of thing.
And it would be temporary, not permanent?
Correct, yes.
That kind of makes sense. And Mr. Nikitas, you'd be okay with negotiating that table at the end of your driveway?
My only concern with that would be where. So when I turn out of my driveway, though, am I turning on like the corner of it would be kind of the only thing. But anything to slow them down, I do like the idea.
All right.
But I'd like to not have to like go off-roading.
Yeah, we'll take a closer look at it. Yeah, I mean, it's also something we wouldn't want to leave in there during the winter months,
Right.
so it would really be a temporary seasonal installation.
Okay. We'd certainly like to hear about that at the next hearing. Any other questions? No? Okay, then we will move on to our third discussion item. We have our moderator here, Dave Miller, to give us an update on the election. Thank you.
Oh, here's the other documents, Julia.
I'm going to confirm that with you.
And more.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's from Kate.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome back.
So lovely to see you.
Same.
So I sort of woke up and realized, my goodness, it's summer starting now. And what happens at the end of summer this year is Labor Day. And what happens right after Labor Day is our first election. So I thought I'd better get on the stick. And in fact, the handout is just some quick sort of dates and facts in very much of a bullet point form. The best information for voters is going to be on our town website under elections, or the Secretary of State's website for the state of New Hampshire. And that information will be getting updated as the legislature is wrapping up its season. And there are still some bills that have been coming through that will need to get codified and get into the law books. So right now I have this lovely volume. These are the election laws, and it says 2026 through 2027. However, there are definitely some changes. So that's the best place to get up-to-date information if people have questions. But one of the things that we're coming up on shortly is this primary election for our state and federal offices. that's coming up the day after Labor Day, which is kind of a crazy time to have an election. That primary date has been changed for future elections, so this will be the last time we have a primary around that time of year. It'll be in June going forward, but for now, we still have that September primary date. So just as kids are, getting back into school in the whole swing of things, and people are still coming back from vacations, we suddenly, bam, we're back in that. So that's September 8. And on very short notice, tomorrow is the last day for voters who are independents or who want to change their party affiliation from one party to another to do that. And people may remember that when there's a primary election, one who is a voter who's an undeclared voter, a so-called independent, so not affiliated with either Democrat or Republican Party, can choose to take either ballot. And what happens as a consequence of voting on a Republican or a Democratic ballot is that changes the registration for that voter from independent to Republican or Democrat, depending on what ballot they took. So many voters don't want to always keep voting the same party. That's why they're independents. And it can be kind of a shock when they come to the next primary and realize because they took the Democratic ballot, they're now going to have to take the Democratic ballot. There's an ability to go back to being an undeclared voter as you exit the polling place, but that's not something people always have time to do. So tomorrow is the last day that folks can change their party affiliation for that September state primary election. And fortunately, our wonderful clerk's office is open late. So they will be open until 7 p.m. and then the supervisors of the checklist meet and they update their checklist based on those changes. So one has to do a little bit of math to sort of back calculate some of the dates on some of these things. Folks can register to vote. Certainly between now and shortly before that September primary, but there is a cutoff time because the checklist of registered voters needs to be finalized before the election. People can also register to vote at the election, although it sometimes takes longer because sometimes other people had the same idea. And so we end up with quite a few voters at the polls on election day registering to vote. So the cutoff for registering to vote is an interval prior to the primary election, depending on when the supervisors of the checklist set up their sessions. So it is between August 26th and September 2nd. So we have coming up in June, the ability to change your party affiliation, and that closes at the end of the day tomorrow. And then at the end of August through September 2nd, there's going to be a cutoff date for registering to vote. Folks can still come to the polling place on Election Day and register to vote on that day. And it's also possible for people who cannot get to the polling place or cannot register in person for a variety of reasons to be able to register by mail. So that is also permissible. But again, it has to fit within those deadlines. So as people are planning out their summers and all the great stuff they're going to do, it's good to keep in mind that if they need to register, change a party affiliation, if folks don't have all the documentation they might need to register, because we now have to demonstrate age and citizenship and domicile in order to register to vote. If folks don't have the paperwork for showing the citizenship piece, which could be a birth certificate or naturalization papers or a passport, this is the time to start collecting that stuff so that they can then have it in place in time to register before the elections.
And you can now use an affidavit because of the court case, too.
Right. So, yes, we had a decision that came out from the district court on Thursday of last week, I think.
It was late at night on Thursday.
Yeah. So things are changing constantly, which is why I started this by saying, please check the websites because things are going to be updated constantly. And there are still opportunities for the governor to veto legislation, for things to get codified, and there are still some court challenges going on. So if you have any questions, it is always best to try to get as much information as you can and talk to the town clerk, who is a wonderful resource, the supervisors of the checklist, who are fantastic. The goal of everybody involved in the elections is to make sure everybody who's qualified to be a voter gets a chance to vote. So if anyone has any questions, please come forward and ask those questions and look into it now. And let's see, what other hot tips do we have? Folks who are not going to be present in town can vote by absentee ballot. The requirements for what you have to provide with your absentee ballot application changed somewhat in the last year, and it includes a requirement that if you make your application in person, you provide a photo ID, the same as the ID you would show for getting the ballot at the polling place. If you're doing it by mail, if you're sending in an absentee ballot application by mail, you have to include a photocopy of that photo identification. And as of this year, folks cannot use student IDs, even if they are from the University of New Hampshire or a public high school. So folks are going to need a state or federal issued photo ID, such as a driver's license, a non-driver's identification card from DMV, a passport, something like that. And again, those requirements, if people don't have all the pieces, they should certainly come and talk to folks and figure out what their options are, and figure out as early as possible how to obtain those things. The other option, if folks can't produce a copy of a photo ID, is to have the application for the absentee ballot notarized, which is not a trivial thing for people to do. You need to find a notary and get that done. So there are a number of requirements, and it's important for people to be aware, to plan ahead, and make sure they're getting in place either the documents or the time or the appointments that they need to do. I would urge people, if they are going to request an absentee ballot, to do it soon. So they can request them now. The season is open for the clerk's office to receive those requests for absentee ballots. We obviously don't have the ballots yet because we haven't had the primary election yet. So those candidates are not completely finalized, but the application can come in, and that helps a lot for the clerk's office to have all of that stuff organized. Yes?
Just a clarification, sorry to interrupt. They could request their absentee ballot for both the primary and the general starting now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And for folks who are serving overseas in the military, there are also special requirements and some special dispensations for them, and that information is on the town website. A completed absentee ballot needs to be returned either to the clerk's office or to the polling place no later than 5 p.m. on election day. Now, presumably, the person who is the absentee voter is not delivering that because they are absent from the polls or unable to get to the polls. But there are some authorized individuals who can deliver absentee ballots on behalf of absentee voters. So if folks are a resident in a nursing home, the administrator can do it. If it's a close family member, parents, children, can deliver for an absentee voter. So those can come either to the clerk's office or to the actual polling place itself. This is an exciting time. There is a lot going on. We've seen a lot of communications on social media and in the news. We're doing everything we can to be as organized as we can to address what we expect will be a pretty high volume of voters, which is wonderful, and to plan for any types of exigencies. So we want things to go as smoothly as possible. It generally It's a very positive experience in Exeter. It's a friendly polling place. We have great voters, and our turnout was very good at the last general election, so I'm expecting it'll be high this time. But the earlier people can plan for some of these things, the better, just so that we have a little less congestion at the polls.
Go ahead.
Okay, just to clarify, so that anybody listening, we don't have a drop box in Exeter for your absentee ballots, right? So, when someone qualified hand delivers an absentee ballot, who would they give it to if they came to our voting place?
If they came to the polling place, they would give it to the moderator or the clerk.
Thank you.
Yes, and if they're delivering it to the town office, they would bring it to the clerk's office.
Yes.
And just to be clear, once the absentee ballots are available, people can make an application. So this would be after the primary. Make an application. If it's acceptable, they can receive an absentee ballot. They can vote in the clerk's office, and they can hand in their ballot. So for people who are qualified to do an absentee ballot because they're going to be absent from the polling place, or they have to work, or they have obligations to care for either adults or children during that time, they can basically do all of that at the clerk's office and hand in their ballot. So there are lots of different variations in terms of what accommodates people's needs, whether it's by mail or coming in early in person.
Yes, so that a person hand delivering an absentee ballot for someone the day of voting before 5 o'clock would come in to the polling place and then ask for you as moderator or our town clerk so that they could hand it to them.
That's exactly right. And then it would go in with the other absentee ballots. It comes in an envelope, so it's a private ballot, nobody can see it, and it would get processed the same way that the other absentee ballots are. And we typically post that we can process them starting 2 hours after the polls open, so that would be 9 a.m. And often we start that early, and we open them for many hours.
Any other questions?
I would like to, could we get this handout added as a supplemental?
So, yeah, I don't want to put it on the website just because that stuff gets officially updated by the clerk and the supervisors of the checklist, but certainly as your packet, I gave one to the clerk.
Yes, and that was my follow-up as far as if anything becomes outdated in this, that we would try to update it. Yeah, thank you.
Madam Moderator, I have two questions, sort of related. So tomorrow is the last day to change party affiliation before the primary.
Correct.
And if one does that and they're independent, they get to the primary on September 8th, they vote however they want to vote, and they don't want to wait in a line or they can't wait in a line, is there an opportunity between September 8th and the general election for them to change back to an independent?
There is, although the only time that they would need to, because everyone has the same ballot at the general election.
That's true, too.
But we were coming up, eventually on a presidential primary, excuse me, but that's not for a couple years, but yes.
Okay. Then that answers my second question, too.
Good.
Thank you.
Is it 10 days? So if a person comes in as an independent voter and they choose Democrat or Republican ballot, and they don't want to wait to go back to an independent, I believe, is it 10 days that they have to wait before they can go to the town clerk's office?
Yes.
And go back to an independent?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. As I said, there's all this math. You have to count days.
You do, and I think that's part of some of the frustration for people is that they forgot to do that, and we've had many discussions with people who hadn't done it and weren't happy. So I think it's important that we try to remind people to do that either then or within like 10 days. Put it in your calendar.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions?
Just a huge thank you for your work to make it clear and concise, even though it is incredibly complicated and very frustrating. So I really appreciate it. And, you know, as folks remember to show up, register to vote, and all of it, please check our website. I suspect that will have the most up-to-date information. And, you know, just a huge thank you for all of the work that volunteers do all over this great state and here in Exeter. I'm just really proud that we can lead the way in a lot of this voting accessibility pieces.
Where do we go on the website to find that?
On the Exeter
Town clerks.
Yeah, the town clerks.
I think there's an election button as well, which is great. With regard to our fabulous volunteers, I'll probably be back to beat that drum again. So you may see me sort of monthly until we get through this election season.
That's fantastic. Please.
And just to remind people, we are definitely looking for people who want to either for the first time volunteer, excuse me, to assist at the polls. The official title is Inspectors of Election. And we really like to have, as broad a cross-section as we possibly can of people who volunteer. So if you're new, we'll train you. If you're a veteran, we're thrilled to have you back. So thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.
It's the most fun you can have in public.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have an update on the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. We have the Vice Chair of the Exeter Energy Committee, Cliff Sinnott, here, as well as other members.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome back.
Nick Metz, who's a member of the Energy Committee, and Nick and I will be presenting, and Amy...
And Amy, don't hide back there.
Amy is here for moral support, she says. So.
Terrific. Well, thank you for coming this evening.
Fill in gaps. Well, I wanted to thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the board for allowing us some time on this very busy agenda, and we will try to be brief. A lot of what we're going to be presenting the information is in the packet, but I thought it would be useful to have a presentation type so that people can refer back to it, and we'll have this posted up on the Energy Committee's page on the town website. So we're here to do the periodic update on the Community Power Program, both Exeter's and our association with the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. It's been about a little less than a year since I was back here. It was at a previous rate increase that we were explaining. And tonight I wanted to cover some rate information, both past and current, and also look a little bit ahead and what we might expect coming forward. Maybe talk about some of what we think are the causes of what's happened, which is the Community Power Coalition New Hampshire rates have risen vis-a-vis the utility rates. So we're now higher than utility rates and have been for 3 consecutive rate periods. We wanted to delve a little bit into why that is and then what we expect to happen. And Nick is going to take us through the process for if a resident wanted to opt out, either temporarily or forever, whatever, to opt out to take advantage of lower utility rates.
Okay, great.
What's involved with that. So first I was going to quickly just review what the Community Power Coalition is, or specifically what Exeter's Community Power Program is. Just a quick recap. This is an aggregation, essentially, of customers, Exeter's business and residential customers, to pull together through the state's CPCNH to aggregate, along with other municipalities, many customers, to take advantage of that purchasing power and receive power that CPCNH has purchased on our behalf. We have, CPCNH has about 50 municipal members, 50 or 51. Last count, about 183,000 customers. We joined at the beginning in 2023, and since that time, CPCNH has been our default energy supplier. And if you look on your Unitil bill, at the back of it, you'll see two divisions. One is for service. That's Unitil's part of providing distribution services and maintaining the grid. The second piece is supply service, and that's what the CPCNH, or if you have a third party, you may have some other source, but that's what that's about. Unitil remains our utility. It maintains the grid, distributes the power, and operates the system and sends you a bill. The current electric supply rates we're in a period that began February 1st, runs for 6 months. That's what the rate periods are for CPCNH and the utilities. The next one coming up is August 1st. The rates for that will be known fairly shortly. But what happened in February 1st is that CPCNH rate went up from 13.7 cents to 14.9. It's about an 8 to 9% increase. That was in line with kind of general energy cost increases in the Northeast and New England. But Unitil's increase was a lot less than that, 2.3%, 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So a 2.9 cent gap. And that gap has been growing over the last three rate periods. And I would say it's significant. Next slide. So these are what the rate disclosures look like. When I'm talking about these rates, I'm referring to the Granite Basic rate, which is the standard default rate. That's the 14.9. Down below are Unitil's rates, both the fixed rate, which is 12 cents and change, and also the monthly variable rates. And that can be significant for customers switching back to Unitil. I'll get into that in a little bit. On the left-hand side there, what you see is the average supply cost for CPCNH under the new rates would be about, this is for a typical customer, 650 kilowatt hours per month, about $97 a month on average. This is, again, for supply, not for the distribution costs. And Unitil's would be $78.40, so that's a $19 increase and significant. Next page. This is the chart that just basically shows the history of these rates over time, both Unitil's rates in blue and CPCNH's rates in green. And you'll remember when this first started, there was a huge beneficial differential between the two rates. We said at the time that was not going to continue. It was going to eventually get back to sort of a nominal difference, hopefully always at or below what the Unitil rate would be. And for the first 4 periods, that was the case. And then for the last 3 periods, the opposite has happened. A gap has opened up in the other direction. And the trend seems to be worsening a little bit, and that's one of the things we wanted to delve into. Before we get into that, it's important to always remember that we're talking about the supply side of your energy bill, not the distribution side. The orange is that distribution side. That goes up and down independently of energy costs. It's more related to costs of operating the system, including doing capital improvements or whatever else. It's regulated by the PUC. The utilities have to get those rates approved. One significant thing that happened in this last rate period is that although CPCNH's rates went up by 8 to 9%, the distribution charge went up by 26%. So that went from 7.78 to 9.86. That does go up and down depending on what they have submitted for their rate setting in terms of what should be covered under that. It's not really controllable by us or by CPCNH. It's something that Unitil and the PUC set. Next slide shows over time, basically the average monthly savings or loss that Exeter customers have experienced in those 7 rate periods, starting out at almost $44 a month when we began for that unusual period where there was that very large gap, and then slowly declining to, as you can see there, until the 5th rate period where there was a net negative in terms of savings. The gap has widened a bit, as you can see. Next, showing the cumulative, if you look at the bottom of the column, the cumulative savings, that shows, yes, right there, that shows the cumulative savings that has occurred. If you added up all the savings and losses for Exeter customers over these past 3 years, that we have a net positive of about $2.2 million, or a little over $300 per customer. Customers that joined later, that have moved into town later, or towns in the state that started with CPCNH later, have not had that cumulative savings. They've had some losses. Next slide. So the question is, why have CPCNH's rates become higher than utility rates? What's the driving force here? And in our research and analysis of this, basically it comes down to 2 factors, one on CPCNH's side and one on the utility side. On CPCNH's side, they have added 2 cents to their rate, a fairly significant amount, 13% for the current rate period, as what they call a reserve adder. And that's put in place to restore their reserves, which were practically wiped out in the winter of 2024-2025. There was a very large spike of spot market energy prices at that period, and unfortunately CPCNH had not positioned themselves with enough long-term purchase contracts versus spot market purchase contracts. When the demand spiked because of the weather and the prices spiked, they had to step in, use their reserves to buy on the spot market enough power to serve customers. So they're still recovering from that, and they're probably still going to be recovering for another year or 2. On the utility side, they experienced something like the same thing, but it's sort of cast differently. I think they're termed under collections. That is, that they set rates which were too low, below what it actually cost, as did CPCNH. And in their case, it was because of a change in process that they used. Normally, they would buy. They're the provider of last resort. Price is not supposed to be the primary issue. It's just to make sure they're there with power when people need it. So they buy most of their power in long-term contracts. The PUC had to encourage them to start mixing that up with spot market contracts. And the consequence of that was that they used estimated rates. And they estimated, like CPCNH, too low for that particular period of time, and subsequent to that too. So as a result, these under collections exist on their books. At some point, they have to be accounted for, presumably by adding them back into rates. So as CPCNH's rates have increased with that reserve adder, so far, the utilities' rates have not followed suit, but we expect that to happen. The thing is that we don't know to what extent Unitil had under collections. I presume they did because the other utilities did, but we don't have any information or data on that. So I would say that the gap that tended to create may be a temporary one. So In terms of membership, these higher rates obviously have had an impact in both customers and to less extent communities in terms of their participation in CPCNH. Looking at the numbers, you can see for the whole CPCNH system, those 180 or 90,000 customers, they've lost about 15,000 over that about the 18 months between February of 25 and last month, May 26. You can see what some of the other communities in our general area have experienced there. There's been an uptick in the opt-out rates. That they were around 2% previously system-wide, and now they're up to about 7%. In Exeter's case, we've had less churn. Only around 115 customers have opted out, and the opt-out rates have risen from about less than 1% to 2.5% or so. One thing that's a little bit funny about these numbers is that there is constant churn because of people buying and selling homes, moving in and out, assuming accounts, releasing accounts. So you're never going to get a highly accurate number. And the smaller the community, the more error that would be introduced in those numbers. But this is the general trend that you can see, and it makes sense. And in fact, I think in a way, it's a healthy sign. It means that the fluidity that people have under community power to come and go as the market suggests, they're finding that to be relatively easy to do, and they're doing it. The fact that Exeter's opt-out rate is low may suggest that we haven't been doing a good enough job getting the word out about that. And that's one of the reasons, we're here. And Nick is going to talk about a power hour session that's going to come up where we're going to focus on this topic and actually provide some help to people who are interested in opting out. The other thing I think that's important to note here is that this has not resulted in any sort of collapse of membership of the CPCNH. One community out of 51 has elected to withdraw. Many others have talked about it. Portsmouth has talked about it, Dover, Stratham, but they've all concluded no, at least not at this point. So, and I think that's the right conclusion because based on what we think, this next slide talks about what rates may look like going forward. Always a dangerous topic to talk about what you think energy rates are going to be, but there are a couple of trends here that I think that we can speak to. The first is that don't look for energy prices to be coming down. I think given the energy market volatility, the direction of both utility and CPCNH's rates are probably going to be going up. But the key metric, at least from community power standpoint, is what's the gap? What's the difference between the community power rate and the utility rate? And we have reason to think that that is going to get narrower. It's expected to narrow and eventually be eliminated. That's what CPCNH is telling us. Because their reserve adder will taper, will get smaller over time. Their borrowing costs will get smaller over time. Whereas on the utility side, we expect they're going to have to address those under collections in their rates at some point. The timing of this is uncertain, but according to CPCNH, they expect that narrowing to begin in this next rate period, which comes up at the end of this month. We'll start to know those rates at the end of this month, and that will be for us a real-time check. Is that happening? This is what we expect. Is it happening or not? And I think we'll need to gauge next steps based on that. That's a key thing to watch. Next slide. I've been talking exclusively about rates, but I think it's important before we leave the topic to also to remember some of the reasons why we got into community power to begin with and what some of the benefits of it are, and they're real. When we got into it, it wasn't just about rates, although that was a very attractive incentive to do it. Here are the things that I think of as being beneficial to community power. One is full rate transparency. We know exactly all the components that are part of CPCNH's rate, what the energy cost is, what their administrative cost is, what the reserve adder is. All of those things are available to see. Second, local control. We have a choice of what energy sources customers can choose when they sign up for community power, for Exeter Community Power. We can control renewable content to a degree and decision making.
Cliff, could I?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, is that all right?
Please.
You just hit on the thing that is most important to me as an energy consumer. Does Unitil have the ability that we have in CPCNH to designate what percentage of green power is in the mix?
I don't think so.
You don't have that ability with Unitil?
There are many other third-party suppliers that do, though.
That have that,
Yeah.
but CPCNH does have that,
Yep.
and Unitil doesn't. For me, as both a residential and a business consumer, that is critical, and it's critical for the patrons of my business as well. And I think you sell yourself short when you say you haven't done a good job of informing the public. I think the public's hanging in there because of that feature. It's certainly true for me, and I know it's true for others. I've spoken to them. So don't do that.
I'll take that.
Don't do that sell yourself short thing. I think you've provided a lot of transparency around rate differences with your periodic reports. And this is the feature that's most important to me in this matter.
I do want to point out one thing. You may be one of the customers that opts up to higher levels of renewable content. I would say, though, that the Granite Basic and the Unitil rates both have the same minimum requirement. They meet the minimum requirement for renewable content, which is 25.2% right now.
Again, you're doing a great job for Unitil. I want you to do a great job for CPCNH.
I want to be fair.
Because as a consumer, I really value what they bring to the table.
Another benefit is that we can, at some point, if we chose to, if we had a critical need for some energy project or energy improvement, we could utilize our rate setting to add a tiny amount of money to start building up funds for accomplishing such a project. A few communities have started doing that. One of the things that has proven most valuable that CPCNH has done recently is play a role, and I think Julie knows about this, play a role in advocacy for energy policy in New Hampshire. They've been very strong in supporting recently a bill, House Bill 1733, which would prohibit utilities from passing under collections back onto all ratepayers as opposed to ones that are on there for the default electricity. That's very important, setting the level playing field. And they've done many other things as well, net metering, advocacy, working directly with the PUC and utilities to improve the data sharing that's necessary to do net metering, to get net metering included in community power. They drive competition. I think the reality is that utility rates have come down a lot since CPCNH, relatively speaking, has existed, and that's a good thing. They're a nonprofit corporation. There's no profit taken out of their expenses or revenues. And lastly, and as a segue to Nick, by design, the system is very friendly to allowing customers to opt out and in and up electronically or by phone. It's always available. There are never any contracts, and there are never any penalties. And with that, Nick is going to talk about how one goes about opting out.
Before you start, you've referenced the PUC several times. Could you let people?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. You do this all the time, right?
Yes,
I mean,
I know.
because it's normal for you,
Yeah.
but I just
Public
like to make
Utilities
sure
Commission.
people understand we have a Public Utilities Commission.
Yes.
And that's what you're referring
And
to.
CPCNH, I've said that 100 times, Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire.
That's why I introduced it that way.
Yep, but the PUC part. And I didn't want to interrupt you, but yes, I just want to make sure people understand what that was for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I
Please.
kind of answer Dan's question? The other utilities, Unitil, et cetera, Liberty, don't have the STEP program that CPCNH offers, but they are required to have a certain amount, a mix of.
So CPCNH is alone in having that feature?
I believe so.
To the extent.
Does Liberty?
They're alone as a community power entity, an aggregator? Yes, I think so. However, there are other companies out there that do aggregation, Standard Power, Freedom Power, that will do aggregation for communities, and they do offer various levels of renewable content.
It's where the renewable energy credits come from that the utilities buy from those of us who are supplying solar energy, and they call it theirs, you know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Being a consumer and being in the public, I get asked a lot of questions about things that, whether I know the answers or not, I try to find them. And a big component to this and what makes CPCNH as enticing as it is how easy it is to opt out. You can go back to Unitil whenever you want. You can come back whenever you want based on the rates. To do so, it's important to know that with Unitil, it's unique with Unitil and not some of the other default municipalities, that they have a variable rate for every month for the remainder of that rate cycle that you're in. So with us being in the middle of a rate period now, we have 1 month left, there's a different rate with Unitil this month than there was last month, and the month before, the month before. I don't think we wound up putting in a slide for that, but it was going to kill time anyway. So it's important if you're considering changing out of your default with CPCNH and going back to Unitil, you might want to see where the rates are currently for that month, not just Unitil's, published rate, and where it's going to be trending for the remainder of that bill period until your next established declaration of the next round of rates. At that point, you will be on a fix as it goes. But that being said, we have a couple hyperlinks there that will be available for those. But going into CPCNH's website, you have the option from as a customer, which will bring up a page to populate. You enter your account number and your zip code. And then, back one. There you go. Nope, you're good. Forward one.
Well, you're doing it.
Oh, he's got a hold of it. He figured it out. I wasn't sure if it was for the pointer or not. Thank you.
Cliff, you won.
Now that I know I have control, I'm taking control.
Yeah, welcome to town. I didn't even know you could do that. Perfect.
You have the power now.
I do now. Now we're in trouble.
I didn't know it did that.
So basic information like, your customer name, customer type, residential, commercial. These are all drop-down menus. Your street address is necessary, phone number. These are all pretty basic info. Your rate code and your name key are required, and these are specific to you. They are listed on your bill. Sitting next to each of those titles there are blue question marks that are hyperlinks that can be brought up, and so I thought it important to note those. They circle it in the upper, or they square it in the upper right hand, but that is your rate code. So if you're a business, it's going to be different if it's time of day or, the different functions to it. You will potentially have a different moniker there, but R2 being the typical for residential, that's what they chose to highlight. So that will be your rate code, and then name. It seems simple. If you go back as far as name key, it sounds like it's going to be a little more complex than that, but it's not. Upper right-hand corner of what you typically get is your Unitil correspondence every month. We'll have your name. Mine's just my last name. Yours might be your last name, or whatever determination that Unitil had to do when they established your account. Beyond that, it takes you right to this page. As within your customer portal, you have the option to opt up, opt out. Choice is yours. From there, the very next screen, once you select that and you hit next, you execute. At that point, it's done. It goes through a meter read cycle. So typically, it would be 1 month of billing, but if it lands in that funky time where they just read it or they're about to read it and the changes aren't initiated, it could be 2 billing cycles before the change in your election is seen. But ultimately, it is that easy. You do have access to that page even after you've opted out to go back and change back if you so choose to. Yeah. Seems to help a lot of the questions. Those who I speak to in the public, the rates are higher. Then go where they're lower. You have that choice, and you can come back when it's a sunnier day or how it goes. But we're still pushing to fight the good fight.
Does it come with a $39 bill?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there, so thank you very much.
Beyond that, that's as easy as it is. I take my segment short, but we do want to plug quarterly. We've been trying to get these out. This will be session 2 for the power hour, and this will be on your electric bill, CPCNH, how it interacts, how to understand the power, where it's coming from, and we're going to expand from there. But we encourage the public to come down on the 16th and ask your questions and hear what we have to say.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And there's one more slide. So at the Energy Committee, we talked a lot about this at our last meeting, and actually did consider the issue, as many communities have. Should we recommend to the board that they consider leaving CPCNH or finding another aggregator? And our position is no, not at this time. It does not make sense to do that. First, because of the benefits that we accrue from it, but also because we see that rate gap diminishing, perhaps being eliminated altogether. Secondly, our recommendation is that we monitor rates very closely to ensure that that gap is continuing to narrow. Third, consider other energy suppliers if necessary. And fourth, extensively publicize rates, how to opt out, on options for customers.
Well, I think I support those recommendations. You can hear from the other members of the board. And is there, if you're not doing it already, is there any way that we can publicize your session at the library any further? Is it being publicized on social media or website or?
We wanted to bring it up tonight because this is one way.
We do. It is posted on our committee page, Exeter Energy and Efficiency page. Kristen might have it in a couple other spots, but ultimately, and it was promoted through Exeter TV through the last round.
Okay.
So we're trying to get it out there.
Good. Okay.
Just as a follow-up to that, is that on Exeter TV's schedule to?
I will find out.
Record, because that way it could be.
They attended our first session on heat pumps and was recorded, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'd like to know if they're gonna, because this is a different topic, and I think it would be important for people to understand. And I will also say I definitely support your recommendations. I think your benefits beyond rates is really important to emphasize. So, thank you.
If I could just jump in on that, I agree with Selectwoman Belanger. I think your focus on the gap in rates is great consumer awareness, but the control and the transparency that we have over a utility market that we had no transparency or control of before CPCNH is so important. And I would ask you and urge you all to focus more on that. The rates are important. I don't mean to diminish that. But that's not why I'm a member, and that's not why so many of the constituents in Exeter are members. They love the control long-term, the transparency long-term, and they're willing to put up with some rate fluctuation. But nice job on consumer awareness.
Right, and
I appreciate that.
In many ways, it's the best of both worlds. We can continue to be a member of CPCNH, support them, take all the benefits, but also make it perfectly easy for anyone who wants to pursue the lowest rate they can to do that.
It's not the most important thing, though.
No.
For many of us. For many of us.
At least we're
For
able
some
to
it is,
sleep
but
at
many
home.
of us it's not. Yeah, so thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Yeah, and if I could just add, I mean, I think it's so critical about the decline in rates overall. And once you lose that competition, then they're just going to shoot up again. And so I think, to Dan's point, it is critically important to stay in the program.
Yeah, if you ever recommended that we leave, I would fight that tooth and nail. If it's not clear yet, I'll say that very clearly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both for your presentation. Oh, I'm sorry, Selectwoman Gilman.
Well, one of the other things that I'd like to say about CPCNH that we don't get from the other utilities is their watchdog eye on what's happening in the State House and at the Public Utilities Commission, because there are cases that come up before the PUC that I cannot tell you what's really happening. They're very intense. They offer a testimony on our behalf as the whole community, and they help me with either legislation they want to submit or to watch and opinion. So that's a big part that's hidden, it's behind the scenes. But being part of the we have two members, and we have to find a replacement for Nick, but I'm the alternate, and so being in that groove gets you exposed to a lot of what happens with utilities. And
it's a very opaque world.
And it was even more opaque before CPCNH. Yeah.
Gives
It was
us an arm in the fight.
It was a very cozy relationship between PUC and the utilities.
Yes.
And this makes it a little less cozy, and that's good for the consumer.
Right.
Thank
you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Amy. All right. That was a good presentation.
Yes.
Mr. Cohn, who's going to present the solar array contract? Perfect. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. You have in the packet the memo from Dave Sharples, our town planner, regarding an exception to the purchasing policy to contract with Revision Energy for O&M operations and management services for the solar array at the Crossroad landfill. Basically, just want to make clear, what's gone on here is we have a contract with Revision under warranty for the site, and the idea is to basically sync the daily O&M operations with the warranty, so therefore you've got a congruence and not sort of finger pointing as to what's going on out there. So the idea is to have daily monitoring of the site at approximately just under $10,000 per year. And with this monitoring service, this will ensure that the community gets the benefits of the array system, because it was noted is that if that system goes down and we're not aware of it, we're losing much more than that in the aggregate. So again, it's a 5-year term. However, the town has the right to terminate at any time within 60 days' notice under the agreement. So again, the annual cost of approximately $9,000. There may have been some indication that this had previously been authorized, but we wanted to bring it to the board for clarity and to cover all of our bases.
Good, thanks, makes sense. Any questions for Mr. Cohn?
No, I appreciate you covering all the bases, as you said, and I think it's really good for service, the consistency of the service, so I think it's a good idea.
If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion that the Select Board authorize the town manager or their designee to execute a year-to-year contract for a maximum of 5 years with Revision Energy for the operation, maintenance, and monitoring of the Crossroad landfill solar array, and to take any and all actions necessary to execute the contract.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have our Economic Development Director, Mr. Darren Wyndham here. Good evening. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Bye.
Would you like me just to start, or?
Please.
Okay. I'm just going to read the memo so the public can hear it. Earlier this year, Exeter's Economic Development Department applied to Plan New Hampshire, asking if they could bring their resources, talents, professional volunteers to Exeter for a charrette in the Lincoln Street train station corridor. Apologize, I got a little frog in my throat. Also, the department applied for a Housing Opportunity Planning Grant, or HOP grant, to cover the $6,500 Plan New Hampshire cost, and for a $2,000 scholarship to go towards charrette-related expenses. Fortunately, we were awarded all, and will thus be hosting the shred at Lincoln Street School on Friday, August 7th, and Saturday, August 8th. So to do so, we are asking the Select Board to accept the awards, give permission to sign the Plan New Hampshire Memorandum of Understanding, our MOU that's in your packet, and give permission to Exeter's Train Station Committee, TSC, to use the town logo on marketing materials. And for anybody who wants to see it, they can go in the packet and they can read a description of what the shred is. Its main goals and an agenda are outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding in the packet. So if the public wants to see it, they can get online and see it.
Mr. Wyndham, to whom would we be giving permission to sign the MOU?
It would either be you or the town manager.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Wyndham?
I have a few.
Please.
First, Exeter TV, so this is going to be a long Friday and a Saturday.
All day.
Right, so is that too long of an event for Exeter TV to record?
So to be clear, the only things that would be able to be recorded would be the public sessions. All the work that they do, that's for them to do behind the scene. That's what they do, as the shred team does, and same with the key stakeholders.
Okay, so the schedule is a kickoff. So at 10 a.m., Exeter TV would not be recording?
They could record outside, but they wouldn't be able to come inside where the shred team is.
Okay.
And I'll invite them if they would like to do the tour. I think that'd be great. We're hoping to have a drone do that as well.
Okay. So you'll work with Exeter TV on what parts of this? Because there are people who might not be able to attend.
Absolutely.
I think it's important for them to.
We want their input, for sure.
Yes.
I believe there'll be a Zoom as well. So if somebody can't attend the public sessions, we're hoping that we can have a Zoom set up so someone could, if they can't make it, they could speak in the two public input sessions.
Okay. And then if I could just follow up,
Please.
Mr. Chair. The awards for the funds, $6,500 was waived, and you were awarded $2,000 to be used toward costs.
Towards costs.
So we're paying for, or we're paying for meals?
Yeah, well,
Three,
yeah, meals.
and, yep, and the hotel.
We're hoping, what I've asked them is because majority of the people that are on these things are seacoast, so we only put hotels if someone has to go like an hour and a half.
Okay.
Because it's a long, the first day is very long. It gets done at like, I did one this past weekend. They asked me to be one of the experts in Plymouth. We didn't get done till I think 9 o'clock at night.
So let me just finish where I'm going with
sorry,
it. No, you're fine. It's just because I didn't get it out properly. So I guess what I'm looking for is if the $2,000 isn't enough to cover the meals, because we do cover meals, we do have snacks and things like that at Shreds. This is not unusual. I just want to make sure people at home know that. The hotel part, I think, is was a new one for me. So the anticipation, at least, is the $2,000 should cover those costs. And if they don't, where would any additional?
In my budget. That's what I put in my budget for this year. I was anticipating we were going to get this thing, and so I put money in my budget for it. So I'm hoping the 2,000 covers it, but if it doesn't, we'll just use that.
So we do have more funds that you
Yes.
are planning in case we got this award.
Just like last year, I used those same type of funds for the, I almost said CBE, Community Business Engagement Program. So the same amount of funds, I keep in there for like a program every year.
Yeah, and I'm excited about the charrettes are really good to opening eyes and getting input and things like that, so thank you.
The timing couldn't be better, just because, we applied for this thing before you guys officially assigned the committee, and boom, then we go right into
Yeah,
it. So
I just really want to make sure people at home understood where the expenses are going, how they're going to get paid.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. Mr. Chartrand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank this board for the wisdom that they showed in establishing an official train station committee. The news out of that committee is excellent. We have taken it from a monthly bowl session over at the library, which was what the unofficial train committee was, to a very efficient train station committee running under the able hand of John Ring, the chair, and staff support from Darren Wenham. It is really, it's an excellent committee, and they're doing great work. And this charrette is a great example of how they've hit the ground running and become very organized in a way that they never were as an unofficial committee. So thank you all for the wisdom you had in establishing an official committee.
Thank you.
So, and also Exeter TV has a good post on social media with Mr. Ring, featuring Mr. Ring. And it's I've been trying to follow some of the comments, and it's getting some good feedback. Parking it seems to be a top one, but I mean, that's kind of an unofficial feeler. People need to go to the charrette and weigh in, but yeah, that's
Bob
good.
is-
They've done that.
Bob is very tied in with the train station committee, and Bob Glowacki, and he's doing a great job helping us promote this as well as other initiatives that this new committee is trying to put forward.
Good.
Question, and Melissa, this might be more apt for you, using the town logo on marketing materials, which on the surface I don't have an issue with, but is that setting precedent for other committees, or do we have a policy?
So we don't have a policy. What our best practice has been is that committees can't use it without permission, and so it's actually why I asked Darren to come here. So if it's approved by you folks, then that would be what is allowed.
Thank you for the answer. So following up, what type of marketing materials?
So we're working on that right now. We're going to have marketing materials on our website. The Chamber's going to have one too. They'll be on that same because they're part of the train station committee. We plan on plastering them everywhere. We want to get as many people to come. And because I was just on this last charrette and I did one in Hampton, they really listen. And so that's why I want people to weigh in, because when everybody got out of the way, and it was just that last day and we were putting the thing together, it was like what everybody said, we implemented it right into that thing. So I think it's really important people understand how important that our voice is. And so that's why we want to get our marketing material out there.
So the marketing material is exclusive to the charrette?
Yes.
Okay.
But the Chamber of Commerce is going to use it as well.
Well, we've
Is
talked
that how
about.
I'm understanding that?
Well, they want to put something on their site to link to our site. It'll be our site, and they'll link to our site. There was talk about should we have it there, should we have it here, but because it's a committee of the town, we have to have it here.
And just to be clear, the head of the Chamber of Commerce is a member ex officio of the train station committee.
Yeah, and I was going to follow up with, there was a previous one that the Housing Advisory Committee was part of, and we had our town logo and also the logos of the other participants, just for some background.
Thanks. And then lastly, does the board have a preference as to whom signs the MOU?
Our new town manager?
Perfect. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments?
I'd
Please.
just like to emphasize that there will be two opportunities for, there's a public listening session on one day and a public presentation on the second day, so please come.
Great. If there are no other questions, then I would entertain a motion to accept the Housing Opportunity Planning grants to cover the $6,500 Plan New Hampshire cost and for a $2,000 scholarship to go towards the charrette related expenses, and to further authorize the town manager to sign the Plan New Hampshire MOU and further give permission to the Exeter Train Station Committee to use the town logo on marketing materials specific to the charrette.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you,
guys
Mr.
very
Wyndham.
much.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be great.
All right. And next, I'll ask our town manager, Mr. Cohen, to speak to the NHMA resolution in support of House Bill 1491.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The New Hampshire Municipal Association is seeking municipal support to send resolutions to the governor's office for the approval of House Bill 1491, which would allow the continuation of non-accessible health insurance risk pools to operate within the state. The benefit of this, as opposed to an accessible risk pool, is for the municipalities is the rate stability and financial stability, and the concern is that if that is lost, it's really going to create financial concerns for cities and towns, and so again, we're seeking a continuation of this ability to offer this type of risk pool along with the accessible risk pools, and again, the resolution is in the packet. I think it clearly articulates the benefit of this, and I personally, having had some background in health insurance risk pools, would concur that this is that you should have this option for those municipalities that wish to proceed with it.
Great. Any questions?
I have
comments. Mr. Cohen, would you like a motion for the Select Board to formally support the House Bill?
Yes, please.
Okay. And I would entertain a motion that the Select Board support the resolution of House Bill 1491.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, we need to authorize our new town manager to sign documents. I think that's fairly self-explanatory, but did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, just as we've noted, we're engaging in contractual obligations, and my understanding is that we need to have formally in the board's minutes the designation of the managers to sign documents. That way, our certifications will be valid.
Any questions?
None.
Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to authorize the Town of Exeter Town Manager, Paul Cohen, the authority to sign all necessary documents and contracts approved by the board.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our discussion items, and Madam Clerk, I will turn it over to you.
I move the following abatements. Map 110, Lot 2, Unit 77, in the amount of $213.48 for the tax year 2021.
Is there a second? If there's a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Map 110, Lot 2, Unit 77, in the amount of $276.74 for the tax year 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 110, Lot 2, Unit 77, in the amount of $213.43 for the tax year 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 110, Lot 2, Unit 77, in the amount of $268.05 for the tax year 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And map 110, Lot 2, Unit 77, in the amount of $274.41 for the tax year 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Cronin, thank you for your patience.
Thank you. So before you tonight are 3 contracts, 2 for the School Street area utility project and 1 contract amendment for the surface water treatment plant. The first item is the construction contract for School Street, as I said. The Public Works Department publicly advertised and received 4 bids for this project, which were opened at your May 18th. The apparent low bidder was Jamco Excavators of Southampton, New Hampshire. Jamco submitted a base bid of approximately $4.08 million and an alternate bid of approximately $222,000 for a total contract amount of $4.303 million. Our engineering consultant, CMA, reviewed those bids, verified the bid tab, checked references, and reviewed the bonding capacity and equipment availability for the contractor. And based on that review, CMA is recommending award to Jamco. We did work recently with Jamco on the School Street project in 2022 and 2023. That project was not without its pains, so we asked CMA to do a thorough interview with some of their recent projects with other municipalities nearby. They spoke with Portsmouth and Aquarian on very similar projects. Both gave them positive reviews and said that they were able to meet their contract obligations on time and under budget. So their bid is approximately 24% below the engineer's construction estimate, and it's well within our authorized budget for the project. So that pricing gives us quite a bit of flexibility as far as construction administration goes and contingency. So based on that, we're comfortable making the recommendation that we proceed with Jamco on this project.
Can we, how can we make some of our neighbors feel better about Jamco? I understand you've interviewed some subsequent municipalities, but
so as with all projects, we will have a neighborhood pre-construction meeting. The contractor will be required to be there. We will talk about those concerns that we have and make sure that we communicate to them that Exeter has very high expectations, and we want to make sure that they're met.
Okay. And how often can staff monitor? I mean, do you have a plan where you can monitor?
Yep, so that's actually part of our second contract request tonight. We're actually requesting that you approve a contract with CMA for construction phase engineering services. So as part of that contract, we would have a full-time resident project representative on the job, basically working on behalf of the town to make sure that the residents' needs are met and oversee the work.
Okay, so these two tie together. Does the board have any questions, number one, on awarding to Jamco, and then, because I'll do both motions back to back, but I'm personally very comfortable the fact that you'll have somebody on site, because it really, it left a sour taste in that.
Yeah, so we had those discussions with CMA. The RPR that they are going to use on this project comes highly recommended. We've talked to a number of contractors who've worked with them as well, and they all said we have the guy. So I think we're going to be in good shape there.
Okay, please.
I mean, I love the plan, and I love the fact that you've got a representative for the neighborhood, and that's within the budget. So
good. Okay. There are no other questions. I'd entertain first a motion to award a contract to Jamco Excavators LLC for the School Street Area Utility Improvement Project in the amount of $4,304,024, contingent upon receipt of authorization to award from NHDES and to further authorize the town manager or their designee to sign the associated contract documents.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. And then I would also entertain a motion to award a contract to CMA Engineers, Inc. for construction phase engineering services for the School Street Area Utility Improvement Project in the amount of $503,000, and to further authorize the town manager or their designee to sign the associated contract documents.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you. Final item tonight is amendment number 1 to the AECom Engineering Services contract for the surface water treatment plant project. As you may recall, back in 2025, this board authorized a $325,000 contract with AECom to complete the initial assessment and pilot testing phases associated with replacement of the plant. Task 1 has been completed at this point, and that included evaluating the existing plant, water demand projection, source water availability, and treatment alternatives and preliminary siting. This amendment provides additional engineering, permitting, and conceptual planning to advance the project. This includes revisions to the pilot testing program, which we plan to proceed with in June, as well as additional coordination with DES regarding permitting requirements for continued use of the Exeter River. Again, this amendment is well within our current current appropriation for this project, and we're recommending that you proceed with this as well.
Any questions? No? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve contract amendment number 1 with AECOM in the amount of $174,868 for additional professional engineering services associated with the surface water treatment plant project, and to further authorize the town manager or their designee to sign the contract amendment documents.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Could I make a comment?
Please.
You're knocking it out of the park. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You and your team are getting it done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I concur.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Okay, next we have donation acceptance for 2 donations to the Parks and Rec Department. Do either of you want to speak to this quickly? Mr. Cohn?
Yeah. That's okay. You got it. I like it.
You have a bigger tie to recreation.
This is wonderful. I love
This is great news. We're here to accept gifts. We're fighting over who can deliver the good news. You see in the packet a memo from Greg Bisson, our Director of Parks and Recreation, for 2 acceptances. The first is accepting $2,128 from the Exeter Lions Club for the purchase of cater shed and other building material for the storage of Park and Recreation Summer Adventure Camp, and that'll be necessary for the opening of the summer camp season. The shed will be situated near the pavilion at 10 Hampton Road, and any remaining funds from the left over from the shed purchase would go towards purchasing sporting equipment for the summer camp.
Okay.
You want to do one at a time, or do you want to do?
Nope.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, and the second is a gift acceptance for the amount of $2,843.10 from the Exeter Snowhound Snowmobile Club for the purchase of a cater shed and other building material for the summer adventure camp, and to allow the department to purchase the materials in time for, again, the opening of the summer camp season. And again, in this case, any leftover funds will be allocated for additional sporting equipment for the summer camp.
Terrific. Okay. Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
And both donations were specific to these purchases. So if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to accept $2,128.90 from the Exeter Lions Club for the purpose of purchasing a Keter shed and other building material to be used as storage for Exeter Parks and Recreation Summer Adventure Camp, and further to allow the Exeter Parks and Recreation Department to purchase said shed and materials in time for the opening of the summer camp season.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then I would entertain a motion to accept $2,843.10 from the Exeter Snowhounds Snow Mobile Club for the purpose of purchasing the Keter shed and other building material to be used as storage for Exeter Parks and Recreation Summer Adventure Camp, and further allow the Exeter Parks and Recreation Department to purchase the shed and materials in time for the opening of the summer camp season. Any leftover funds from these purchases will be allocated to Parks and Rec to purchase additional sporting equipment for the summer camp.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Cohn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Melissa and I sort of had a discussion on this one, since she was interim town manager for half of the period since your last meeting, and I for the second week. But we decided that I'll give a unified report.
Perfect.
And first, I want to begin by thanking everyone for their support regarding my onboarding. I'm in my second week, and it's just been a real pleasurable experience, and I can't, again, to express the appreciation and support, most notably from Melissa and from Corey, over the last several months as sort of prepared myself for the arrival, and it just continued with the support I've received, from Pam in the office and from everyone I've encountered, both volunteer boards and town employees. So I want to really start out my thoughts with that. Towards that, I missed it. I wasn't able to make the opportunity, but we want to acknowledge the retirement of the town's longtime town clerk, Andrea Kohler, and the swearing in of our new town clerk, Jennifer Shoup. I noted when I arrived on Tuesday that she leads me in seniority by about one day of the town as a town official, but it's great news, and again, we want to recognize them at the beginning of my remarks tonight, and also, as noted by the board, in the Memorial Day parade, it was quite wet, but I think the town wants to express our appreciation to Florence Ruffner, who for many years has continued the organization for the Memorial Day parade for the community, and again, her dedication and service to the town and those, to recognize those we have lost is greatly appreciated. On a most important town concern, I think, since I arrived, and it was brought to my attention by the chair, and I know by residents in the community, is the issue with these dangerous use of these electric bicycles on sidewalks, in downtown and other parts of the community. As you know, this isn't a concern that's limited just to Exeter. It is a concern. Melissa and I met with Chief McCain, and he assured us that he is going to get on this. This will include an educational component for the parents and in the community, and as well as enforcement. Because this is unfortunately hasn't been a singular event. It's now becoming sort of a recurring event, and we want to stop this before somebody gets hurt, either somebody on the bicycles or the somebody in the public who's an innocent bystander. And I think the big hope is that soon perhaps the legislature will treat these as they are. These are motorized vehicles, and they need to be properly licensed, insured, and because there are different gradations of these, and it's sort of, once again, the problem we have as a society is that our legislation often doesn't keep pace with our technology. So again, that's sort of been the preeminent concern in terms of safety for that. As I said, we're beginning our assessments. We're looking at all aspects of everything, and I know we'll be setting a goal session on what items to move forward. It even occurred to me this evening that maybe we should put these packets in a binder with tabs so you could actually help thumb through them a little bit easier. I know those are minimal things, but God is in the details. But even on more serious things, we are looking at the hours of operations in this building to make sure that perhaps there's some uniformity. We're trying to do this as a cooperative effort, and I know a concern that I have spotted is I think it is sometimes disappointing if you come into an office and inside of a building and you see one's open, one's not closed, and what have you, and we know the trend out there in the region and by other comparable communities is, the idea of an evening for those who may be work or other commitments during the daytime, and we see that in the clerk's office and tax collector and so forth. And so it may be as soon as our next meeting in 2 weeks that I may be bringing a proposal for your consideration. Since my arrival, including today, I've had 2 meetings virtually with Melissa regarding and Corey regarding the public safety building construction. Things are going well there. The project is the famous phrase "on time and on budget," famous words, but it is going well. And my sense was, and it was confirmed to me by Melissa and Corey, is we do fortunately have a contractor who is mindful of the town's, financial constraints, And then we've avoided the two Pauls in on the discussions at the meetings because of our project manager sharing the same first name as me. But it's gone well, and I was able to have a tour of the building last Tuesday, and it's now at the point where you can actually get a sense of the building with the the metal drywall studs up and so forth. So that was great. Another concern, obviously, was the storm last Saturday. Rather serious windstorm that we received, which, as we know, resulted in a tree falling on a home on Gill Street, which DPW responded to. Police and fire were busy during the storm, but fortunately there were no injuries or incidents during public safety. But it just shows you the dramatic difference when leaves are on the trees during heavy winds, given the wind conditions we've had a few months ago. Moving along, regarding our personnel fronts, we had a resignation in both the fire department and Public Works today. The Public Works was a retirement, so we recognized this sort of occurs, and we'll look for new people, and we are pleased that we have a new dispatcher starting. And we also received this morning when I arrived the formal notice from our current assessor Janet that she will be retiring, and however is elected not to stay on a part-time basis. Therefore, we'll be posting that position immediately, and we're working with MRI for short-term coverage in the office to keep the assessment function running. I've also taken the opportunity to meet some of the volunteer boards and commissions. Last Wednesday, I was at the Facilities Advisory Committee meeting, and on Thursday evening, I was at the Planning Board meeting, and I intend to continue to do that once I return from a conference that's going to occupy me the remaining nights of this week, because I think it's important for me to introduce myself, that they can put a name with the face, but also for me to get a sense of them and how they operate, and and the support staff that they receive from the town. And again, in all sincerity, I was so tremendously impressed by the planning board hearing last Thursday evening regarding a very difficult subject matter with the hotel being proposed, and the sense I had, and you obviously see it here tonight, is people feel respected, that they feel heard, they're giving opportunities, and that's what local government's all about. I also met with Steve Jones today to discuss Fairpoint Park, and I'll be working with staff to provide support for that effort in terms of starting with the design and then ultimately towards construction. A follow-up to your last meeting, our town planner Dave Sharple submitted the Safer for All grant last Tuesday, and it will obviously be several months for the federal government to respond to that, but once we have that, as you know, it's a significant consideration, and I just saw the sense of relief from Dave once he had that submitted and off his plate, and it's now going to free him up to do some other efforts. And again, I'm also immersed now in the budget cycle. I met with the fire chief and the executive team to go over potential requests for the upcoming budget cycle. And I also held my first department head meeting in person in this room. And my plan is to meet with the department heads every other week in person. I think there's a difference of in-person meetings versus virtual whenever possible in terms of building cohesion, as well as the communication that happens. As I've mentioned to some of you, is a lot of the part of that in person is stuff that goes on outside the meetings, when the meeting starts or when it ends, and you grab people. It's that it's that ability to communicate and connect. And so I'll tend to be using that whenever possible. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, Melissa and I will be attending the Municipal Managers Conference from Tuesday afternoon to Friday this week. However, we're comforted, I'm sure you will be, that Corey Stevens will be present in the community and that we'll be reachable by our cell phones and have our equipment with us. So it'll provide an opportunity for me to meet my peers and colleagues, and Melissa and I are looking forward to that, and I'm sure Melissa is looking forward to spending time with our fellow managers over the next few days. So that concludes my report for this evening.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Cohn? Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Select Board Committee reports. We'll start down here with Selectwoman Gilman.
I do not have any meetings.
Okay.
As Mr. Cohen said, I had a planning board meeting. That was Thursday, May 28th. They did do the election of officers, and it's status quo. Mr. Plummer is the chair, Aaron Brown remains the vice chair, and John Gruder is the clerk. We heard one application, and it was planning board case number 26-3. Excuse me, -3. Was the public hearing on the proposed hotel on Portsmouth Ave. After some lengthy discussion, it was tabled and will resume again on June 11th at 7 p.m. And just to follow up with what Mr. Cohen said, the board members and our audience was really happy to see him at our meeting. There was a lot of whispering, as it was tonight before our meeting started. I think that's how come I picked up on it, was wondering who that person is. So what a great thing for you to have attended the meetings that you're attending. I really think our residents appreciate it. I know our board members and committee members do too. So thank you for that. And I am grateful to our community for welcoming you the way they have too. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Selectwoman Cohen.
I have nothing to report.
Nothing. Selectman Chartrand.
I had 2 meetings over the last 2 weeks. There was the train station committee. Most of that was taken up with the planning for the charrette in August, and you've already heard about that from Darren Winham. And then there was the facilities advisory committee meeting that Paul, our town manager, attended along with Melissa, and the facilities advisory committee felt much town and assistant town manager loved that day. It was great to have you both in the room with us, and we talked a lot about the facilities assessment and moving that forward. So
great, thank you. I attended the River Advisory Committee meeting, which met for the first time since, I believe, October or November. There was a reorganization. Nick Drinker, who was the vice chair, will now be the chair, and Dick Huber, who was the chair, will now be the vice chair. Mr. Huber wanted to step down from the chair responsibility, but he agreed to stay on as vice chair, and Mr. Drinker was amenable to taking the chair role. We do have 2 openings on the River Advisory Committee, so we are recruiting vigorously for that. I attended the retirement luncheon for our town clerk, Andy Kohler, and it was incredibly well attended by folks not only here in town, but other clerks from around the region. I think it was pretty much a full house across the street at the town hall. And then Mr. Chartrand and I marched in the rain with all of the other volunteers, and significant number of folks who showed up despite the weather. And once again, Florence Ruffner did a great job organizing, adding some new participants this year. But if I may, I'd like to give a big shout out to Jay Perkins and his crew, as well as Coach Ball from Exeter High School football team, who, as I was driving to Andy's retirement party, I got a panic call from Florence that nobody was available from the school department to move the stage at Gale Park. Coach Ball volunteered, and the minute I got to Andy's retirement party, Steve Cronin said, "I'll call Jay Perkins," and before anyone knew, Jay was there with his crew, and Bill Ball was there. So much appreciation for them for jumping on that right away. So correspondence, we have 2 other.
Can I?
Please.
No, it's I should have said it during mine. I do want to apologize to Andy. I could not make it back in time for her retirement. I planned to be there, but something happened with my day job, and so congratulations on your retirement, Andy.
She was very, very happy.
Good.
Okay, so we have 2 letters of support for consideration of the bicycle and pedestrian document that Silas spoke to several meetings ago, one from Mary Teagle and the other is from Barry Kaplan, and then we have our NHMA legislative bulletin. Reviewing the board calendar, I'll go through the dates again, and then when I met with Mr. Cohen and Melissa to go over the agenda last week, we came up with a hold date for something, and then we'll go through September. So we have June 15th, June 29th, July 14th, July 27th, August 10, August 24th, and
Why do
then,
we have July 14th?
because I made a mistake.
Is
What's
that,
the Monday?
it's July 13th.
My apologies, yep.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Tuesday?
Okay, July 27th,
Yep. July 13th, July 27th, August 10th, August 24th.
that's what I have.
And then we have Labor Day, September 7th, and the following day, September 8th, we're all going to be working at the elections. So we feel comfortable that we can go from August 24th to September 14th, given the long weekend. So September's meetings would be the 14th and the 28th. However, we're going to ask the board to hold the date of September 1st, which is a Tuesday.
Okay, September 14th and September 28th.
Correct.
Ooh, I am not in the state on the 28th, but that's okay.
That will most likely be the budget presentation, but if you're back on 2 days later, you can come to the BRC.
I can come to the BRC, that's right.
Yeah.
Ask my stepdad. Okay, and we are holding which date? The
9/1.
9/1.
We're going to hold 9/1, which is a Tuesday.
Okay, for select board at the,
No, it's just to hold, because we're asking the board to go 3 weeks.
So it's a potential.
So if
7
something comes up, and I think the three of us felt comfortable that we could go 3 weeks. We have done that before, particularly around this holiday. But in the event something comes up that can't wait till the 14th,
I see, okay.
we'll hold September 1st.
September 1st, okay.
Is that
Hold for,
everyone good with that?
I'm
Yes.
away on September 1st.
Okay.
So I would not be there, but I'm sure you'll have a quorum.
I'm sure you will, I'm sure we will too.
And
if
again,
we
it's
need
just
it.
and I doubt we'll use it, but it's just a hold.
But just heads up.
Okay, all right. Well, let me ask the rest of it. Will there be at least three of us?
I will be there.
I will
I
also
will be
there.
here.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, I don't think we're going into non-public this evening, so if there's no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Stand adjourned. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other